Okay, hello all. I'll quickly recap modularization techniques and function modules. So, what is modularization? Breaking
Convert this source code into
breaking functionality into
reusable
reusable
modules.
modules. Reusable modules. We are going to separate the logic into reusable modules so that we can reuse these modules in different applications. So, it will. What is the advantages of modularization? We can reuse the existing functionalities
The
without
function
creating from
below.
the beginning and easy maintenance of the code, right? You don't need to change the functionality in many places. You can just go and change in that particular module so that that functionality change will be applicable to all applications whatever calling that module. Okay, so different types of modularization techniques are subroutines. So these are local to the program. We can call subroutines in programs and function modules. So what is the structure of subroutine? By using perform, we call the subroutine. By using form and end form, we define the subroutine. And what is the rule? When we are creating the subroutine in the program, what is the rule we have to be followed? Subroutine form and end form should be
Some
at the end of the program.
and
After form and end form, we cannot use any executable statements. Okay, form and end form should be
so
at the end. Perform you can call anywhere, wherever you need to execute that functionality. What is the other option? Function module. Function module is a global modularization object where you can call in programs, other function modules, right, within subroutines. Where you can call function module anywhere. It can accept the input and return the output. Okay, so function modules can execute independently. That is the main difference between subroutines and function modules. Subroutines cannot execute independently. They can execute only within the program. When you add it to the program, it will execute along with the program. But what about the function module? Function modules can execute independently. Okay, it can accept the input and return the output. What is the transaction code to create the function module?
SC37.
SC37.
And other modular technique is include program. So we can use include program to modularize the code. So right, if you want to reuse any functionality, you can keep that functionality inside the include program, and you can add this include program to any other executable programs. Okay, you can add this include program to any other executable programs or to another include program. Okay, but include programs cannot execute independently. So when you add it to the some executable program, then only it can execute. Okay, then what is the next moderation technique? Class methods. So classes follows object
Methods.
oriented programming approach. So here we have advantages like inheritance, data binding, abstraction, right? When we are working on the object oriented app, we'll discuss in detail. So now we are creating function modules, right? What are the different types of function modules? What are the different
Different
types of
types.
function modules?
Node function.
Normal and
Yeah, regular or normal. Regular function module
Regular.
or normal function module.
Regular.
Remote enabled function
Update.
module
remote
or RFC function module, and update function module.
Update.
and update function module.
So normal function module can be called only within the same SAP system. For example,
Same as a
you
system.
take these different systems. So normal function module can be called only in this system if you create in 2022. But remote enabled function module can be called in other systems also. For example, function module is in 2020, you can call it from 2021. Okay. So if you want to access any data from 2022, you can use remote enabled function module from 2021. For that you need RFC connection. If RFC connection is established, you can use it as a remote function call. And what is the other function module? Update function module.
Update.
When we use update function modules, when we use update function modules, let's say there is an application where we are inserts records into table 1, insert data to table 2, and some update data to table 3. You know, right, difference between insert and update. Insert is to create the new record, update is to modify the existing
Modify
record.
the
Let's say I'm executing these statements, but it should not create these records in the database yet until we confirmed, right? The statement is executed successfully, but commit should not happen immediately. Commit, when records will be created permanently in database, usually in any SQL, when we execute commit work statement, commit work and rollback work. So what is the use of commit work? To confirm the changes to database. When we execute commit work, what are we saying? Hey, create the records permanently in the database. When we say rollback work, revert this data insertion, reverse this. I don't want to create this record. If something went wrong, I don't want to create this record. Reverse this, right? So when we use update task function module, we are updating 3 tables in one functionality. But I don't want to commit the changes immediately. If it is successful, then only I want to commit changes to the database to confirm the changes to the database so that those records will be created in the database tables. If there is any one failure, first database statement is successful, second database statement is failed, and third database statement is successful. But in this scenario, I don't want to create any records. Even the successful entries also I don't want to create. If everything is successful, then only I want to create the records. Then I'm going to keep these operations in what type of function module? Update function module. I'll write the statements in function module, update function module. And when this update function module will execute?
Commit.
When commit
what
work
is
statement is triggered. Even you're calling the function module here, call fm. You're calling the function module. For example, you are at line number 10, line number 10. You are calling the function module. But is it going to commit these records into database once the function module execution is completed? No. When that will happen? When commit work is reached. For example, this is at line number 15. Now, these changes will be committed to database. Okay? This function module will actually execute. Clear? Usually we use this in enhancements because we should not commit database changes until all the other operations are completed. Okay? So functionality will execute, but those changes will commit to the database when commit work is executed. Okay, clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
When we are working on enhancements, I will show you like why we use these update task function modules. Now go back to our function module creation. What is the transaction code? SC37. Let's modularize or maybe create one new program using function module. Now, first let me create a program. I'll create a program using some vendor as input, and I'll select some purchase order data. What is the type? Data element. What is the table for purchase order header data?
TKK.
Listener and
Yeah, listener is the field name, but what is the data element? ELFIN. In S4 HANA, like in ECC, mostly we find the same data elements, but in S4 HANA, these are slightly different. ELIFN, that is the data element. So I'm not designing the selection screen. You guys have to do it for every program. Initialization event to pass default values to the inputs. At selection screen for validations. Start of selection to write the business logic. End of selection. Usually we can display the output. Now, so I have a vendor as a input. So before proceeding with data selection, what is mandatory? Validating the input, right? So we should not allow any value, right? That should be a valid value. How can you validate vendor number? In net selection screen, if p underscore vendor
essential
is initial,
initial
then rise error message. Can we hard code the text? Can we hard code the text like this?
no sir.
What we need to use? What we need to use here instead of this hard coded text?
Text
Hmm?
Text
element.
elements.
Not text elements, text symbols.
It's symbols.
In text elements, you can find the text symbols. Use that message here. Paste the text here. Any long text, okay? Any long text. Don't hard code it in the program, okay? It will generate a number. Use that number here. For any long text, you have to use text symbols. Text hyphen 001. It will work even if you hard code the text. It will work, but is that is not recommended, okay? For these kind of values, what we need to use?
Constants.
Constants, okay? For example, LC local constant underscore e type C value. For constant, value is mandatory, right? E. Do we need to define the length? Because it's type character one only, right? One character only, right? By default, what is the default length of the character data type? One. So that I'm not defining any length. Okay. Okay. Parameters. Now I'm validating whether there is any value or not. Whether there is any value or not. But user should not allow any junk value, right? Any value, right? So we should allow only valid value. We should allow only valid value. If p underscore vendor is initial, then rise this error message. Else, if it is not initial, what we need to do? Else, if it is not initial,
Select the
It is not initial, and there is some value. There is some value. But we need to validate that value. Is that a correct value or not? What you need to do? We need to select data from corresponding check table. What is the check table for listener? LFA1.
LFA1.
Go to LFA1. What is the primary key here? Listener is the primary key. So we are going to check whether that vendor number is available or not. So you can find vendor address, vendor master data in LFA1 table. How to write that? Select single. Do we need to use star? What we need to use
No.
here?
Check.
We
Listener.
are not displaying any data, right? We just select any field listener from LFA1
LFA1.
into at the rate data. Some, for example, LV vendor. What is the condition? Where listener equal to which one?
At the rate of
P
P vendor.
vendor.
What is the mandatory thing we need to follow when we are using select single statement? We should pass all primary key fields in the where condition. Are we passing that? What is the primary key here? Only listener, right? So we
Listener.
are passing listener. So we should always, it is mandatory when you are using select single, you should pass all primary key fields in the where condition. Okay. Since we have only one primary key field, we are passing that. So it is correct. Now, if sy hyphen sub rc is not equal to 0, what does this mean? Not equal to 0. What does this mean? This means select statement is failed.
Until now.
This vendor number is not available in the table. Then raise a error message. Okay. And it is valid vendor. Next, go to our business logic. Select EBLN bookers. What are the fields available in EKKO? BS type. Or for now, I'll use select star so that you can easily understand some difference when we are using it in the function module. Select star from EKKO into table
Table.
data LT underscore EKKO where what is the where condition? EBLN, sorry, vendor number, right?
Listener.
Sorry, listener equal to this. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, and if then display the output. Okay, you can use like this, or you can also, what is the alternative to display the data in end of selection? If LTEKKO is not initial, if it is not empty, then display the output. You can also do this, but whenever you write a select statement, what is required? Sub RC check is required. Sub RC check, do the sub RC check and proceed with the further statements. Okay, you can check like this also, if there is any single record or not, by using is initial. Check, activate, provide some vendor number. Not sure whether it is available or not. 406. Yeah, there are some records. There are some records, right? It is displaying purchase order data. Now let's modularize this using, shall we quickly modularize using include program? This you're already aware, right? How to modularize using include program. Include
Yes.
uh, zdemo validate vendor. Double click on the include program to create the include program. Keep the functionality here, pretty printer, activate it. I think we need to add constant. We are using one constant, right? I need to copy the constant also. Where is the constant? This one. Because we have same variable two times, since we added it to the include program, it is duplicate now. No, where are we? No, we are in include program, right? We have to comment this in main program. And comment. Now this validation is reusable. So simply call this vendor validate include program in any program if you need to validate the selection screen input. Okay, just try this. Let me try some junk values. Validation is working. But can we pass the inputs? Can we pass the inputs to this include program?
No.
No, right? Whatever the inputs we defined here, we need to use same parameter here, and we need to use it to validation. We cannot pass the different values as input. We don't have different parameters. Now let's modularize this using function module. How to modularize using function module?
Go
Go
to
to
C37.
C27, validate vendor. We have already created a function group. I'm going to use the same function group. This function group acts as a global container for the function modules. Now, what is the input for our validation function module? Vendor number, right?
Yes.
Always
Yes, sir.
remember, naming convention is very important, okay? It will work if you give any name. It's not going to stop you. You can give any name, but in projects, it is very important to provide the naming conventions. For importing parameters, usually we use a IV underscore name, whatever the name it is. In our case, vendor. For importing parameter with a single value, importing parameter with a single value. If it is a record, work area like record, we can use IS, EKKO. It's like work area. For table, internal table like output, we can use IT underscore EKKO. For importing parameters. For exporting, EV, ES, ET. Okay. For changing, CV, CS, CT. Okay. And in different projects they use different naming conventions, so we have to follow accordingly, but usually these are the usual naming conventions we follow in the projects. Okay, clear? For single value, what is the type reference we need to use? Data element.
Type.
For record like structure, work area like structure, for single record, table or
Table.
Table name.
structure name. Table or structure name. For internal table like structure,
Table type.
we need to use table type. Same here, same for importing and changing parameters also. You need to follow the same to return the output. This is to return the output. This is to accept the input and update the output. Okay. Now what is our input? Vendor, right? IV underscore V and vendor. What is the type? What is the type of the vendor field? ELFIN. So we are passing input. Now what is the output? How can you say that vendor number is available? Here we can follow different approaches. Here we can follow different approaches. You can return true or false. If a vendor number is available, return true. If vendor number is not available, return false. That is one way. Or return vendor number itself. Pass the vendor number. If the vendor number is valid vendor number, return the same vendor number as output. Okay. So first we'll follow true or false approach. EV underscore status type. I'll use char1 or boolean. What is boolean type? Boolean type will accept
False.
true or false. If it is true, it contains X. If it is false, blank. Okay. If it is true, it will contains value X. If it is false, that value is blank. Okay. Now I have defined the importing and exporting. Now write the code. I'll raise the exception. I'll raise the exception. If we don't pass any value, it should raise the exception. How to validate that? How to add that validation? If what is the importing parameter here? IV underscore vendor is
Under.
initial.
Initial.
Then raise the exception. Raise this exception. Else proceed with our validation logic. Okay. Select single listener from LFA1 into same code you can copy here. Where which one we need to pass here? Importing parameter. If sy hyphen subrc equal to 0, then what we need to do? We need to return the output, right? What is the exporting parameter? Status ev underscore status equal to x. That means it is a valid vendor. It is true. Instead of x, we can use instead of this hard coded value x, we can use abap underscore true, nothing but x. Okay, if sub rc not equal to 0, ev status will be blank, no value in that. That means it is false. Now go to our program. Let's call the function module here. How to call the function module?
Go to pattern.
Go to pattern or control F6 is the shortcut. Okay, provide the name. What is very important when we are calling the function modules? Passing correct type. Here, what is the type of IV vendor? It's a importing parameter, right? But here you can see
Yes.
it as a exporting parameter. Don't confuse. Okay. So importing parameter in the function module will be as a exporting parameter in the calling program. Now what we need to pass here? Parameter vendor info. What is the type of this vendor? ELFIN, right?
ELFN.
You need to make sure both types are same. Okay, both types are same. Data element might be different. This data element name might be different, but length length and type of the both data elements should be same. Whatever the data element you are using for this IV vendor and whatever the parameter you are passing should referring to the same type. Please keep that in mind. If you are confused, go to the function module, just copy that import parameter and define your parameter in the program and pass that here. Okay, for EV status, what is the type we need to pass here to return the value? Type boolean, right? Let's define one variable, type boolean. You need to pass the same type. Okay, and enable the exceptions. What is the validation we need to write? If lv underscore status
Initial.
is initial, and if, and return the
Error message.
error message. Okay, what is the other way we can write? If lv underscore initial, sorry, if lv underscore status equal to abap underscore false, both are same, you can also write like this. Okay, clear? False means empty only, there is no value. True means there is x value. Okay, now you can call this function module in any number of programs. Wherever you need to validate the vendor, just pass the parameter and return the output. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
It is validating. Shall we modularize this also?
Yes,
Now
sir.
Yes, sir.
here are we selecting only single record or multiple records?
Multiple records.
Multiple records we are selecting, right? Let me
Yes.
create a function module to modularize this. get PO header, create the function module, read PO header data. Sorry, I am I need to use function group, right? I'll use the same function group, but always remember only use relevant function group. We should not keep all function modules in same function group. Only relevant function modules which we need to share the common logic. Only those function modules we need to keep in the same function group. Now, what is the input for our function module to select the data? What is the input?
Definitely.
Vendor number. We have taken vendor number. You can also add a few other inputs. Depends on your requirement. I'll follow the naming convention. Vendor number, ELFIN, right? ELFIN. No, what is the type? ELIFN. Okay. So vendor number. Next, what I need to return? Purchase all purchase orders of this vendor number, right? Here I am going to get
Yes,
more
yes.
than one record, right? There is a
Yes,
chance,
sir.
right? At least there is a chance of getting more than one record, right? For each
Yes,
vendor,
sir.
we may
Yes, sir.
have multiple records. So if we define like this, for internal table like structure, I'll use like this: it underscore ekko type. Now, what kind of structure it is? Is it internal table like structure or work area like structure? If I use table name,
Work area.
it acts as a work area. It can handle only single record. Even if you take IT or any name, it can handle only single record. To make it as an internal table like structure, what we need to do? Need to create a table type. Go to SC11 data type, create. There might be some standard table types also. We can use if there is any existing standard table type. What we need to provide in line type? The table name or structure name. You can also use structures. Okay. Use this table type instead of this. Now it can handle multiple records. If you want, you can add the exception. If you don't want, go to source code. What is the alternative? What is the alternative for this table type? You can define in the tables. For example, it underscore kko, like you need to use, not the type, and table name. What is the table name? Ekko. What it is saying? Tables parameters are obsolete. Go to the details. Tables parameters are obsolete. Changing parameters that are typed as internal tables, standard tables with header line. So the basic meaning is it is outdated, and it is referring to use different type. Okay. If you click on enter for multiple times, it may accept. Okay. So tables parameters are obsolete. Try to use import, export, and changing. I'm deleting this. Now go to source code. Now write the code. If is not initial, and if write your select statement. Select. I'll just copy and paste it here. It is very, very important, guys. These are very important. Even if you are comfortable with this, class methods are also very similar, but there are few differences. But we are going to use parameters and everything in a similar fashion. Sorry, we are selecting the data. That's it. Are we going? Is it going to work? Is this function module going to work? We have selected the data. Can we call this function module in the program?
No.
Why? We are selecting the data, right? Can we call this function module in the program? Or do we need to do anything else? We are selecting the data into one internal table
We ha-
LTEKKO. Are we passing
we
it to
have
the
to assign internal table
uh,
data.
are we passing this data to exporting parameter? Are we passing this data to the exporting parameter? No, right?
No.
No,
Then it
sir.
won't return any output. It won't return any output to the program, even if you write the correct logic. If you don't if you don't pass the data to exporting parameter, it won't return any output. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0 and if pass it ekko equal to lt ekko. Both are same types or not? The internal table what we are using here and the internal table or exporting parameter what we defined here. Here we are using select star, right?
Yes.
That means we are selecting all the fields, correct? We are selecting all the fields of the table.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and
And what is the type of this exporting parameter? EKKO, right? If you take complete table name, that means we are using all the fields of the table, right? If you take direct table, that means both the importing parameter and internal table structures both are same. That's why I'm passing like this. I'm copying one internal table data to exporting parameter. Or what is the alternative? Instead of using a separate internal table, you can directly use exporting parameter in select statement like this. This exporting parameter ITEKKO. You can directly use it here because both structures are same, right? We are using select star. That means all the fields of the table. We are using EKKO table in the table type. That means all the fields of the table referring to exporting parameter. We can directly use exporting parameter also. Then we don't need this step. We don't need to pass again. We are directly passing select statement data to the exporting parameter. Clear? Activate. Now go to the program and call the function module. Pass the input. To return the output, we need an internal table right here. Let's define an internal table. How to define the internal table? What is the type you need to take? Simply go to the function module. Check what is the type of exporting parameter. It is using table type, right? Copy this
yes.
and
Yes,
define
sir.
the internal table with the same type. LT underscore EKKO type. Tell me.
Standard table.
Standard
No.
table of. Are we using table type or table name? Is this a table
Table
type or
name.
table name? What is this?
Table.
Table
Table
type.
types.
This is table type, right? When you are using table type, you
Yes.
don't
Yes,
need
sir.
to use type standard table of.
Standard table of.
Yes.
When you use table type, simply write this. Now is it internal table or work area? It is internal table only because we are using table type, right?
Table type.
Let's say We are using
Okay, sir.
table name. Let's say we are using table name. Now is it internal table or work area?
Work area.
Now it is a work area because we are using
Yes.
table name. In this case we need to use EKKO type standard table of table name. Then it acts as a work area, sorry, internal table.
Internal table.
But when you are using table type, you don't need to use type standard table of to define the internal table. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now pass this internal table to the exporting parameter, and we are displaying the data here. Activate it. Now it is displaying the data, right? Same data. So we modularized using function module. I'll show you debugging techniques one more time here. Uh, Debugging is very important. Daily you have to debug for 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes. If you click on F5, it will go inside the function module and execute the function module code. If you click on F6, it will complete function module execution in single step. It won't go inside. If I go inside and I don't want to execute further, which key I need to press? I don't want to execute all the steps. I want to go back to the calling program. Which key we need to press?
F7.
F7.
F7,
If
sir.
you press F7, it will take us to the calling program. If you press F8 here, it will complete. If it will
Execute the program.
executes a complete program, it and display the output. Okay, I'm pressing F7. It will take me to the calling program. F8, it will complete the execution and display the output. Clear? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, since we are selecting all the fields of the table using select star, we have directly used EKKO table reference in the table type. But if we don't need all the fields of the table, or we need use join to combine multiple tables, and we need the data from multiple tables. Can we directly use a table name or one table name? For example, I don't want
No,
all the
no.
fields. We cannot use direct to table reference. What we need to do? We need to create a structure with required fields, whatever the fields I need. Or if you are using a join statement in the select function module to select data from different tables, what you need to do? You need to create a structure with all those fields, whatever you are using in the join. Let's see one program using joins, how we implemented it. Pure data joins display. Now what are we doing here? We are selecting data from three different tables, right? We're selecting data from three different tables: EKKO, EKPO, actually four or five: EKKO, EKPO, T001, 3, four tables we are using here, right? Four different tables and selected fields, right? We're selecting data from four different tables with selected fields. Now, can we use any table reference in the exporting or importing parameters? No, right? In this scenario, what we need to do? We need to create a structure.
Structure.
How to create a structure? create the structure, select structure. Now what are the fields? List out the fields. EBLN.
EB, EBLP.
What is the next field? EBLP. Order can be anything. You
ELLP.
need to follow the same order in program. I'll just simplify this. I'll select only few records. This is from EKKO and the Bookers. Type Bookers. What are the other fields? BUTXT. I don't know what is the type. Let's try BUTXT only. Yeah, it is available. BSTYP. Matner. So usually I prefer to maintain same table fields in the same order. Okay. First header table, next item table, like that. But here we are mixing up. When you are creating, right? Create in a sequence by table. Okay.
Okay.
It is clear to see like whenever we need. MENG. What is MENG? Quantity, right? It is a quantity field, right? MENG. Please observe carefully. It
Yes,
is
sir.
very
Yes.
important. Quantity and currency fields in the structures and tables. It is very important thing. I'll show you now. NETWR. I don't know what are the
Net pen.
exact types, but I'm taking the same types. Okay. Now we have a currency field and a quantity field, right? We have value field and quantity field, right? Now go to currency and quantity fields. Now go to currency and quantity fields here. What you need to provide? What you need to provide? Reference table and reference key.
Reference key.
Reference table.
This is from EKPO, right? Go to EKPO and check what is the reference table. There should be a master table for currency and quantities. Go to EKPO and check what is the reference table available. So why we need to provide the reference? Value is not enough, right? To identify the amount, we need to know which currency. Depends on that, the actual value will be changed, right? Like $1, 1 rupee. There is a lot of difference, right? If you just say one,
Yes, sir.
if you just say one, that doesn't make any sense, right? If you just say it is one, we don't know what is that one, right? If you say it is 1 rupee or $1, then you can identify the value, right? $1 equal to around 80, 90 rupees. You can easily understand the difference. What's going on? Okay, let me try here. EKPO F7. Whenever it is trying to connect database, it is taking some time. There is some issue in the server. See, whenever you need to check the table fields, right? You don't need to go always to SAP. EKPO table. Just double click on this. You can see all the fields of the table here in the same structure. Okay. When you don't have access to SAP, you can just check the table structure in online also. Okay. It's open. What is our field name? NETWR, right? This one. Go to currency and quantity fields. What is the reference we have? EKKO WARS. That is the reference field for that. Copy this table. Go to your structure. Take this. Okay. Provide the reference. Done. Save it. Activate it. It's for enhancement category. You can worry about it later. Our structure is active. Without reference fields, you cannot activate the structure when you are using currency and quantity fields. Okay. Now, are we returning multiple records or single record in this PO data?
multiple records.
We are returning multiple records, right? Using this join statement. Now, can we use structure in exporting parameter to return the multiple records?
No.
No, right? We can return only single record by using select single. If we use the structure name to return multiple records, what we need to do? Create a table type. Create table type. Line type, what we need to use? Table name or structure name? Structure name, what we have to
Structure
use?
name. Structure name.
Activate the table type. Go back. Now go to the function module. Create it. I'll use the same function group for now. Now we need to define importing parameters. How you are going to define? What importing parameters you need to define? Observe the program. What are your inputs? Okay. What are your inputs? So we cannot directly pass select options in the join. We cannot directly pass select options in the join. We need to create ranges. For now, I am removing this. For now, I am removing select options and I am keeping only parameters. Okay. Only vendor number is our input. Let me check, is there any errors? Okay, somewhere I am validating or I am passing some default values. Let me delete that. I'll comment this because I am not using this one, right? Select options. Go back, check the program. No syntax errors. Now let's replace this with function module. What is our input now? Vendor number. Let's define a vendor number importing parameter. Type. What is the ELIFIN? Okay. Now, is it a mandatory output or optional sorry, is it a mandatory input or optional? It's a mandatory input. So I'm not selecting
Mandatory.
optional.
Mandatory.
You can pass any default value if you want to pass by default. For example, 406 or something in single quotes. I'm not giving. So what is the output? Output is the uh, internal table records, right? From the join, from our select statement join, ITPO data. What is the type? Type, table type. What is our table type?
Yeah.
Is it zdemo underscore t underscore po data? Is it the one? Yeah, this is the one. Now go to source code. I'll just copy and paste this code here. I'm not going to write any code. I'll just copy and paste. So instead of this parameter, I'll pass IV vendor. Now tell me order of the fields. These order of the fields what we are using in join and order of the fields what we have used in the structure are same or not? Did we create in the same order or not in the structure? Let's check. If both are in same order, you don't need to use a separate internal table. EBLN, EBLP, bookers, just observe in same order or not. These are in the same order, right? The order of the fields what we are
Yes,
using
sir.
here and the structure, both are in same order. So in this case, you don't need to define a separate internal table. You can directly populate data to exporting parameter. If you want to define, you can define and pass it to the exporting parameter later. Okay. For now, I'll define a separate internal table so that you won't confuse. LTPO records. Then if sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, what is the exporting parameter? ITPO data. Check. Is there any difference? Saying there is some difference. Let's observe the structure. I know I have used some random data element names, but I need to check the exact data elements of each of this. EBLN, what is the data element? EBLN only, bookers, BST, EBSTYP. For BSTYP, EBSTYP, not, this is one difference. And for AEDAT, I need to check what is EBLN, EBLP, BUKRS, BUTXT, and BSTYP. Next AEDAT. Okay, dates 8. Next is Matner, MATXT, MENGE. I need to check MENGE. I doubt there is some different data element. Uh, BSTMG. What are we using here? It's invalid data element. BSTMG. Now it should ask for currency and quantity fields. That's what I was wonder why it is not asking for. So now go to EKPO. What is the reference field for MENG? Check here. I've used incorrect data element. EKPO MEINS. Use the reference EKPO MEINS. Okay. You need to provide the reference, or simply MEINS is part of the structure, right? You can use the structure reference also. Pass the structure name here. That's also works. Okay. Now we have corrected the length issue, incorrect data element issue. Activate the structure. Structure is activated. Now go back to our function module. Now check it. Save it. Go back. Close the function module. Save the function module and open again. Because we did some changes, right? Change it again. Now check. Still, what is the difference? I might used more incorrect. For mains, what is the type? PSTMENG. I'll use the same data element. Let me correct NETWR also. NETWR BWERT. Different lengths are different for this data element. That's why there is a issue with type conversion. Activated. Now go back to our function module. Check. Now no syntax errors. The fields what we are using and the fields what we have mentioned, we have taken some incorrect data elements. Incorrect types we have taken. That's why we got the error. Clear? Now call the function module in our program. I'll comment this. So instead of this join, call function module. What is the input?
That P vendor.
P vendor. What is the output? We need one internal table, right? Define one internal table. How to define this internal table? Just go to function module, copy the table type, and define one internal table using table type. Pass it and enable this. PO data, same. Check. Activate. Execute the program. We got the output, right?
Yes.
Now wherever you need to select purchase order data, and the data is very similar to the records or to the fields what we are selecting. Do you need to write a separate select statement again? Do you need to remember all these join conditions? No, simply go and call the function module. When you need to select data from all these combination of tables. You don't need to worry about anything. Just call this function module. Okay? Is everyone clear? How to select only selected fields from the table. For that you need to create a structure. Okay? If you are selecting a single record, use a structure type, use a structure in exporting parameter and write select single statement here. Okay?
Yes.
Then that works as a work area like structure. Okay? You can observe here. Let me pass some input, execute. So here it is showing us in tabular format, right? It is a work area like structure. I'll show you one more thing. Let me define one es underscore po data type. I'll take structure instead of table type. Es underscore po data. That's the structure, right? Just to show you the difference. But please keep in mind that when you are going to change the function module, please keep in mind that you are going to disturb many programs which are going to call that function module, which are calling that function module. So this is internal table like structure. This is a single record work area like structure. Okay. Let me show you one more thing. Uh, EV, EV underscore EBLN type. Never change any function module class methods directly or tables. First check where is your list, then only change, because all the other programs are going to be impacted. This is the single value, single record. Sorry, not record, single value. Okay, this record and this internal table. Always please keep in mind that whenever you are going to change the function module or any class method, first check where it is being used by using where user list. Keep it here, check it, select programs. Are we not using this? We are using, right? PO data joins. Why it is not showing in where user list? Try here, select all. Something went wrong. We are calling here, right? Or is it a different same? Something went wrong with the server, but you should be able to find this in the where user list. Okay.
Okay.
So that's it about the function module. We have to see RFC function modules and update task. We'll see RFC function modules when we are working with interfaces, and we'll see update task function modules when we are working with database operations. Okay. So going forward,
Okay.
whenever you are creating a program, you have to modularize the code using function modules. Okay. Tomorrow I'll see one more concept, how to pass multiple internal tables as input and return the multiple internal tables by merging the data and everything. Concept is same, whatever we practiced in earlier database internal table merging, but I'll see how to pass inputs to the function module. Okay.
Okay, sir.